Happy Friday out there to all you guys, family. I'm bringing you guys another episode of You Are My Brother. And I just want to say before I get started that this topic is going to be heavy. This might not be a conversation for everybody. I'm actually hoping that not too many people actually hear this episode. And the reason why is that we're going to be talking about something today that just manifests itself, presents itself all the time in more ways than you can even imagine. And it just clings on to life, circumstances, and consumes people. And I want to say, for the most part, honestly, in my heart, I really think 99% of it is unintentional. And what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be negativity. How negativity can spread like wildfire, unintentionally sometimes. So you got to watch it. So that's my position. That's what we're going to be talking about here today as we get going. So before I get going, really, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Feel free to like, feel free to share, feel free to subscribe. That's the way that we're going to be able to connect with everybody that we need to connect with and build this community, not only of like-minded people, but people who have a similar vision. It's fine if we have differences, but there's one thing we have in common, is that we want to progress and go forward. So today I want to really talk about the power of negativity and how it presents itself. And I'm going to start on a smaller scale, if you will. And if you listen to this content, no, I am not an expert. I am not somebody who's got all these degrees. I consider myself just to be the average person. I'm not looking for attention. I'm just saying, hey, that there's certain things I see and I want to be able to bring it to communities that are affected by this behavior, if you will. So negativity. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, and I need to be careful about what I'm saying, this is not meant to offend anybody. It is only meant to uplift people as a whole. So negativity sets in, and it starts and it presents itself with things that you might run into every single day. They can just be people that you run into because you're forced to, because you live with them, people that you experience at your job place, people that you experience on your way to your workplace, or people that just surround you in a virtual environment, people you come in contact with. I know that most people are positive and they really try to get on and try to spread love. I'm not going to sit up here and promote things that I do not believe are true, which is that people are negative. I don't think that that's the case. I think people find themselves maybe saying something negative unintentionally because they're not thinking about how it impacts people. And what I'm going to start with, and then we're going to move up and scale up to something that I really hope I don't ever want to talk about again, but it happened. So imagine if you grow up in an environment, where people tell you that, they love you every single day. They love you, they love you, they love you. You could do anything that you want to be able to do in life. Yes, of course, throughout your course of life, you're going to hit road bumps, but you're going to believe that you can do anything that you want because that's been programmed into your DNA. And I think most people strive for that, honestly. But imagine if you're in an environment to where people don't know that they're being negative. For instance, you said that you want to do something as a child and somebody says, hey, look, I love you. You could do anything you want, but maybe that's not it. They didn't intend to have a negative effect on you. But now, as you progress forward in life, maybe you second judge things, or you second guessing things rather, or you just not really progressing the way that you need to be because you're just not full of confidence. For instance, I'm going to use another example that's small scale. I happened to be on a New York City bus one time, and I was just on my way to get groceries. And then it was a gentleman on this bus, and this gentleman must have been disturbed because it was a young Puerto Rican kid. He was just on his way home with his friends, and I noticed the bus was extra crowded. And I asked, this person, he was sitting to the left side. Have you ever been on, one of these buses, not only in New York City, but most buses are really laid out the same, is that there are two seats to one side, usually either one or two seats on the other side. But the further you go back, there's two seats on both sides. So I go back, this gentleman is just sitting on, is one gentleman sitting in two seats, but then he decided to put his groceries on the other two seats. And I said, excuse me, do you mind if I sit down? And he says, well, the last little kid right here asked to sit down too, and I'm not moving my groceries. So I didn't argue with the guy. I just moved one of the bags down and I sat down. But the other kid that moved, this was a 13-year-old boy, and I came to find out that this gentleman had been sitting up here telling this little kid all types of things you would not even imagine. Things such as, your hair looks like Medusa, or you need to cut your hair. The whole bus was quiet. Now, keep in mind, this is New York City, so when you're in certain parts of the city, and let's just say the East Village area, you might encounter, black people, Latin people, Asian people, white people, whatever have you. This gentleman was not black, was not brown, not anything, just a despicable type of man to be able to pick on a 13-year-old and just destroy his confidence. And then that's how that negativity started. But I was just there in that moment to tell this young brother, don't worry about this, I got this. So I'm starting with that small piece, and I'm gonna lead up to what I'm about to talk about now. I don't want this to be a long video, and like I said, I hope that people don't really hear it, but that's how negativity presents itself. It can ruin your confidence. It can make you believe that you can't do what you want to do. So now I'm gonna scale up to something much bigger. So I read a story today, and like I said, I'm just an average person. I'm not an activist. I am not somebody who is super political or anything like that. I really try to promote love and understanding. If it's anything I think I'm good at, it's probably understanding. So I read a story that BLM made X amount of dollars. And I need to be careful about what I'm going to say because it's just heavy and I understand both sides of the argument. But there are people who feel like, they've done groundwork, level on work on the ground level, if you will. And maybe they're asking for some of those resources that these public figures became known of BLM. And my point that I want to say is I think that everybody's entitled to everything. I'm not going to get into that. But I am going to tell you, as somebody who sits on the outside, who may not be within the culture, you can watch at this moment how the division, the negativity starts, and it leads to division. And if you're an outsider, you're looking in and you're saying to yourself, okay, their numbers just became public. Now, one or maybe few groups, local chapters or local divisions, want some of those pool of resources for a newly formed company. And you could say that they should give it to them. That's not the point I'm trying to make. On the outside, you could say, okay, the monies became known. Now everybody's going to want something. Are we entering a dangerous state where if I'm looking back at this and I said, you know what, I've given X amount of dollars as an outsider to this cause. If I've given cause to the umbrella organization, but then there's division amongst it due to whatever reason, and then it starts to become negativity on social media and everybody's talking about it. So it leads to division. And then now, as an outsider, I can give my money, see if the change is impacted. And let's say I didn't believe it was going to be impacted at all. I can give the money, see if it fails, and then going forward, if anything happens, not giving you money because you tried that and the resources weren't allocated the way that they supposedly could have been. Point is that I'm trying to make is that negativity and division starts so small to where it consumes everything. And my point I want to make about this is that you have to be unified in this front. And what I mean by that is unified is that BLM does not fight any, in my opinion, isolated incidents. We have lost millions. thousands, hundreds, whatever number you want to come up with, for a long, long, long time. So none of these things are new under the sun. So what I mean by that is these things will continue to happen, or they have happened in so much of abundance that we can't look at isolated incidents and forget about the larger picture. So as everybody wants good for everybody, and I think we all do, I think it was unintentional. And that's what I want to believe. No, I'm sorry, nobody can change my mind on that. That's just the way I'm raised, or the way I feel. I believe unintentionally the powers that be have just not gotten together and connected the way that they need to be, because they're divided among things that are soaked in just to divide and spread negativity amongst your ranks to prevent organization that will lead to proper infrastructure. So, point of this episode is that you could start with something that starts every single day, so small, for a long period of time. Something bigger happens, and then now, as an outsider, someone can look in and say, there's negativity and division amongst these two ranks that fight for the same cause, but they don't understand how they're connected. So point being of this whole episode is that we have to be careful about negativity, because negativity does not have the real power. It is a fake power. It is something that we can easily overcome. And it's just by starting small with positivity and saying, hey, some things will work, some things will not work. Everything is not going to be perfect, but we strive to make things better, and we keep communicating and organizing to build proper infrastructures that may not be set up today, but as long as we remain connected and understand that, yes, we will have differences, but we will have more in common as a umbrella together to help us achieve all of our local subsidiary, all the way up to the umbrella initiatives. So you start small with organization that will lead to proper infrastructure, because this fight rages on. Thank you.